Okay. Okay. Tonight I would like to speak about two subjects. First, a better understanding of the Yom Tov of Sukkos and of the mitzvah of Yeshiva Sukkos, how it has evolved in the Torah until the Nach, and then in Chazal with the Kabbalah. And then we will speak. A second subject is to understand the Lulav, the shocking of the Lulav itself, a little bit of a little understanding so at least we should know a little bit what it could be about. The first part is on Sukkos. There is the Chag Sukkos, as we call it, Chag Sukkos. There is in the Musaf something very weird in the Musafim. In fact, each Yom Tov has, so there is in the Musaf always a few Porim, a few cows, a few Elim, Gider, I don't know if say it in English, Elim and Ayil. And then you have always Shiva Kvosim.
Antelope?
Antelope, yeah, okay. No, an antelope is an ayol. That's an ayol, that's a chaya. A ram maybe, yeah. And so normally every Yom Tov and every Rosh Chodesh that there is a Musaf, it's always one ayil and 7 kvosim. The difference is always in the porim, in the cows. So on Rosh Hashanah, on Yom Kippur, and on Shmini Atzeres, it's one part, but normally it's always 2 porim. So on Rosh Chodesh and on Pesach, and on Shisha Pesach, it's always 2 porim, 1 ayil, and 7 kvosim. And on Sukkot, there is many more porim. This I will not explain today why there are so many porim. This goes from 13 the first day, 12, 11, 10. This is normally, as I already explained it once, this goes to refer to the 70 nations. So we had our Yom Kippur, and Sukkot is the Yom Kippur from the 70 nations. And so there are 70 porim. But still, when you look in the number of ayil, it's 2 ayil and 14 kvosim. So it's double. On Sukkot, the Musaf is double. I would like to elaborate a little bit based on what a certain Rav Bin Nun, based on him. He's the one that actually is the source for what I'm going to say, and then I'm going to add my own, especially how in Sefer Devorim. Let's maybe have a look at the very first mentioning of Chag Sukkos in the Torah. It's in Parshas Mishpotim. Either you can check it yourself or you can trust me. It says, "V'chag ha'kotzir bikurim ma'asecha asher tizra b'asodeh, v'chag ha'osiv b'tzeis hashono be'ostocho es ma'asecha min hasodeh." So we see here that the 2 chagim, which is Chag ha'kotzir, this is Shavuos, and Chag ha'osiv, this is Sukkos, is referred to as an agricultural chag, Chag ha'osiv. It's called the Chag ha'osiv. There is no mentioning at all of the Sukkot. There is not a mention at all of anything about the Sukkot. It is a Chag ha'osiv. And then in Parshas Kisiso, it's he refers again, he repeats again the same thing. And then also what he explains it in Chag, he says also Chag Shavuos, that he mentions Shavuos, no Chag ha'kotzit azro bikuret tzirchitim, the Chag ha'osiv to kufas hashono. So you see here, by the way, the end of the year is Sukkot. Yeah, on the Torah, the end of the year is Sukkot. We already explained that Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of the year and Yom Kippur the end of the year. That's Klape Chazal, how they see it, and there is a bit also in the Nach, but in the Chumash, Pekitzer, the Chag ha'osiv is the kufas hashono. Sukkot is the end of the year. That's a few times the Torah, Beketz hashono, it is also the Sukkot. It's the end of the year. But in any case, there's no mentioning at all of Sukkot. They only mention Chag ha'osiv. But then the first time that it mentions Sukkot is much later in Parshas Emor. Parshas Emor, he says, he mentions that you have to bring, these are the Yomim Tovim. If you look, if those who have a chumash can look, maybe this is kedai to look inside.
It's the line of the first 2 days.
Of the first 2 days, yeah. Yeah, so it's Perek in Vayikro, Perek of Gimel at the end. Perek of Gimel, it's it mentions it mentions all Yomim Tovim. There when he from Lamed Gimel, Adam Hashem Moshe Rabbeinu in Yisrael, Chamishos Yom LaChodesh HaShvi'i, Chag HaSukkos Shivas Yomim LaShem, Yom Rishon Mikro Kodesh, Kom Lechas Avodah Lo Yisasu, Shivas Yomim Takrivu Ish El Hashem B'Yom HaShvin Mikro Kodesh, and then, so he doesn't explain what does he mean, and then he finishes off. Then he says Milvat. Then he finishes. Eile Moed Hashem Ashatik Po Oiso Mikro Kodesh, L'Akriv Ish El Hashem Oilo Umin Chozev Arnutzuchem Kvar Yom B'Yomo. מלבד שבסויס השם, מלבד מתנויסיכם, מלבד נולידיכם, 4-5 יום לחודש השביעית, ועוזבכם אספוס אורץ, וחויגס חג השם, 7 יום ויום הראשון, שבוסם, ויום השמיני, שבוסם. And then he says, so he repeats as if he already closed. He says already, Eile Moed Hashem, and he already in Lamed Zayin, he already says, that's it, I'm finishing off. And then he says, מלבד שבסויס השם, מלבד מתנויסיכם, then he repeats that you should bring. And then he remembers something. Oh, I forgot something to mention. Then he's going back. So he repeats again that as if he wants to tell us something again is going to happen. And what is it? Why do I repeat it again? So that he repeats again and he says those days it should be, and then he closes off. So he repeats a few times and he closes off and then he opens up again. He opens up again and he says, yeah, you have to keep it. This is Yom Tov, and but why does he open it again to the Lulav? And then he ends up as saying, so basically, it seems it seems as if he wants to say that the connection between the Chag, which was in the beginning, which is the Chag, which is as we explained, the Osbechem. Then he explains that there is also, don't forget, there's also a mitzvah of Sukkot, and the Sukkot you have to sit 7 days. It's actually, it is as if it was removed from the Chag himself that he mentioned before. So it is, you have a mitzvah of keeping Yom Tov, then he adds a new Yom Tov, which is the Yom Tov, he repeats himself, and he says, yeah, but you should take Kli Etz Hodo, and Kapus Morim, take the Lulav, and then he says, and it doesn't even say that you have to sit in the sukkah in those days. It just says 7 days you should sit in the sukkah. I understand that everybody will say, of course, it's the 7 days that he mentioned before, but it's not even explicit in the mitzvah of sukkah that the sukkah is related to the fact that it is be'osbechem as was be'osbechem as tuaschem. So basically, the mitzvah of sukkah seems to be a little bit of how we call it an addendum of an addendum. So you have an addendum already, and then when he finishes off that addendum, so he finishes off, that's it, so we think it's finished, and then suddenly he adds a new line, they already closed off the whole Yom Tov, he opened it up again for the Lulav, and then suddenly he mentions the mitzvah of Sukkot. But there is no connection between the Sukkot and the Chag that he mentions before.
Where they mean there is no connection, it means that it's a separate union, or it's not the same day?
Oh, so it seems what Rav Binun explained is that the Etzem, there were kind of 2 Yomim Tovim. There are 2 Chagim. There is a Chag Ha'osif, that's the Chag that is the agricultural Chag, and then you have the Chag HaSukkos. And those two Chagim are actually falling in the same time. Now, they are some falling in the same time as I'm not going to say by chance, but they are falling in the same time, but they are not connected with each other. So you have a Chag Osif, and then you have a Chag which is Sukkos, where you have a mitzvah of Sukkos. It is only afterwards in Parshas Re'eh, where Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe Rabbeinu is going to make the connection. And he says the following, in Parshas Re'eh, it's in Perek Tezayin, Chag HaSukkos, that's the first time that he mentions Chag HaSukkos, Ta'aseh lecho shivas yomim, be'ospecho migyonecho u'miikvecho. So, in other words, the first time that the Chag HaSukkos has been connected with the Chag Osif is in Parshas Re'eh. But until then, it is just a mitzvah that has been added to the Chag Osif. Okay, that's in Parshas Emor. And then you have the Chag HaSukkos that is be'ospecho migyonecho u'miikvecho. That's already in Parshas Re'eh. And so what Rav Ben Nun wants to say is that the reason why we bring 2 Eilim and 14 Kvosim is because this is 2 Yomim Tovim. That we have 2 Yomim Tovim that we are celebrating on Sukkot. We're celebrating the Chag Osif, which is one Chag that requires the Musaf of the Chag Osif. And then you have another Musaf that you have to bring because it's Chag HaSukkot. And the 2 are actually only have been connected with each other only in Parshas Re'eh. In Parshas Re'eh, the Chag Osif is related to the Ospecho. Says the Rashbam, why is it related to the Ospecho? So the Rashbam says that this is typical because the idea here behind that is that when you are becoming rich and you feel rich because you have just collected all your all your harvest in your house, in that moment you should go out and feel a little bit more humble, that there should be kind of a humble feeling. So basically what I already mentioned it a few times, that Sefer Dvorim, it was written by Moshe Rabbeinu, and the Rebbeinu Shem said he should add it to the Chumash. It belongs in the Chumash. Moshe Rabbeinu many times takes everything that was said in the previous Sforim and he turns it into ethical and a chesed mitzvah. We saw Chag HaMatzos was the matzos. Why did we eat matzos? Because we came out of Mitzrayim quickly. The Mitzrayim, they sent us out in full force with the speed. So matzah be'etzem is a happy food, according to Parshas Shmos. But Moshe Rabbeinu, what does he say in the Sefer Dvorim in Parshas Re'eh? He calls him lechem oini. No, it is to remind us that we were oinim, we were suffering in Mitzrayim, and so therefore the lechem should remind us our humble, the humble start, or you call it our the history that we were coming from, is to remind us. Yeah, but don't forget, Shabbos, the same thing. In Parshas Yisro, in the Seres HaDibros of Yisro, Shabbos is because Hashem rests, we should also rest. And what does it say in Voes Chanon? Voes Chanon Shabbos, he mentions a lot his marech on one point. You should rest, but like you should rest, your avodim, your slaves should also rest. And he continues about that very, very much in Voes Chanon, that it's not only you should rest, but also your slaves, v'amosecho. Ato vincho v'avdecho v'amosecho, v'shoicho v'chamoicho v'chol beremtecho v'gecha shebishecho, leman yanuach avdecho v'amosecho komoicho. He adds on in Voes Chanon. This is not in Yisro. V'zochar tu ki evet o yisu be'eretz Mitzrayim v'yotziach Hashem elkei misho bet chazor v'zeh netuyo, al ken tzivcho Hashem elokecho lasis yom HaShabbos. So basically, he always puts the extra accent on. Don't forget, it's not for you. It's not. Also remember that you were slaves and you were on the dire strait and you did not know how to feed yourself. You had problems, and you should always remember that without Chesed you would not have been able to survive. The Medrash reminds us a few times that Klal Yisrael organized themselves with a lot of chesed in order to survive those 200 years of Avdus. And so therefore, the idea here is that Moshe Rabbeinu had to repeat it. And I explained you why did he have to repeat it? Because Moshe Rabbeinu is speaking to the new generation. We are talking now after 40 years of Midbar. 40 years of Midbar, all the people from the older generation died. And these are all youngsters, the 20-year-old, the 30-year-olds. They were not in Mitzrayim anymore. They never knew Mitzrayim. They only knew the Midbar. And in the Midbar, what did they have? They had Mon. They did not have to, there was no poor people. There were Almona and Yosem that happened, did not have problems of food. So the problem of food was not really an issue in the Midbar. And so Moshe Rabbeinu had to remind us, the Klal Yisrael, the young generation, that the ikar of the Torah is, of course, the chesed. So don't think, of course, when you are good, we want to remind ourselves of what Ribono Shel Olam did to us, and we have to be happy. But you should also remember the matzah is not only a food of happiness, it is also a food of reminding of our humble start. And also when we are going into the sukkah is not just Sukkos or Shaftes Bnei Israel, refers to the Anan Yaakov. This is a wonderful remembering. But as the Rashbam explains us, he connects the Chag HaOsif with the Chag HaSukkos. The Chag HaOsif, that the Sukkos is, when do we make the Sukkah? It's not just by chance that it falls together, but it is actually also, Moshe Rabbeinu connects it with when you're going to bring in all your harvest. In that case, you should remember that not koichi voitzim yodi, as the Rashbam explains, and we should always remember the poor people that did not have the chance as you did to collect it. So we see here the element of the two Yomim Tovim, Chag HaOsif and the Chag HaSukkos. The one that actually connects it very strongly together is Nehemiah. In Sefer Nehemiah, it's mentioned that
Excuse me, what's Chag HaOsif?
Sorry?
What's Chag HaOsif?
That during the process of agriculture, so you have Chag HaKotzir, which is either Chag HaPesach, which is the Oviv, the beginning, this is the Soirim, the barley, and then you have the Chitim, that's Chag HaKotzir, and then at the end you have the collecting of the
yeah, but what's the
at this
Yom Tov?
Nothing. These are times that so what are these Yom Tov? It's a very good question.
So it's just the Isur Melocha?
Yeah. Isur Melocha, but plus also it's a mitzvah to come and see the Ribono Shel Olam. It's a mitzvah to come and come up to Ribono Shel Olam, bring from wherever you have the bikurim that you have, and bring it to the Beis Hamikdash. So it's a Yom Tov that actually you come to the Beis Hamikdash. And this is what I will explain you now. So Nehemiah says that they came back from Bovel, and then Nehemiah said that you should go, they made Sukkos, and they sat in Sukkos. They never did like that in between Yeshua ben Nun till now. That's a very big question. So in Nehemiah, when the Klal Yisrael came back, a small part of Klal Yisrael came back from Bovel, and so he said that he told them that we should make Sukkos, and they did Sukkos, and they didn't do Sukkos since Yeshua ben Nun. So they all asked the question, what do you mean we didn't make Sukkos since Yeshua ben Nun? So they all kind of tirutzim, no, they never made it in public like that, etc., etc. There's a lot of the Gemaras and Meforshim that explain it. So what he wants to explain is the following. The Chag HaOsif be'etzem is a Chag that is related to bringing the first, your harvest to the Beis Hamikdash. You just have a fantastic year, you collected a lot, you bring it to the Beis Hamikdash. But not everybody goes to the Beis Hamikdash. Not everybody can go to the Beis Hamikdash. So what happens to the people that are staying is Kolo Ezrach Israel, everybody that stays in their homes, Yeshu Basukkos, they should sit in the sukkah. So basically what he wants to explain is that in Yerushalayim was not a place where normally people were sitting in the sukkah. In Yerushalayim, you came and you went to when somebody went, it was when he came to Yerushalayim, it was to celebrate the Chag HaOsif. But when the people, sorry? But sorry, that no, oh yeah. So they send somebody shliach. I don't know. No, but it's also bikurim. In Sukkos they also brought bikurim. Till from Shavuos is till Chanukah they brought bikurim. Vendange, ça veut dire. Yeah, it's vendange, and then there is also, and actually you will notice that it says here, and it does not mention mi'itzorecho, does not mention zayis, but that's for Hanukkah. That's another shiur for Hanukkah, because Hanukkah is not mentioned here, and that's mentioned only that's something else. Okay, c'est la vendange. Yeah. So this is why mi'ikvecho, you can already bring the wine. You can bring already to the Beis Hamikdash.
But there were no sukkos in Yerushalayim?
No. So theoretically, why would there be sukkos? The mitzvah of me is now aliyas haregel. I go to the Beis Hamikdash.
Yeah, but to see the Masir Shein, and the sukkos tishbu. So why do you need the sukkah?
Yeah. The idea here is that you don't go to Yerushalayim for sukkos. You go for Chag HaOsif. What is driving you the Chag HaOsif and not the sukkos? The sukkos is, according to how he wants to explain it, it's a mitzvah that is for, and I will explain you later. If you give me, I will. Okay. I am in the middle. It's I'm building it up. So, but this is the idea when you come up to the Beis Hamikdash. It's Chag HaKotzir. It's always when you come. This is you meet Rabbeinu Shloilom because you have just have passed a new stage in agricultural record. You call it harvest. And each time you come to the Beis Hamikdash to bring it, it's not a religious holiday. It's an agricultural holiday. Sukkos is a religious holiday. It's to remind ourselves that we were sitting in Sukkos, that we were in the Borishon took us out from Mitzrayim. Chag HaOsif is not to remember that we came out of Mitzrayim. It's simply you recollected a lot of money. Now it's time to come and share your simcha. And a part of it, bring it up to the Beis Hamikdash. Sukkos is more a religious thing, is to remember, to remind us for the past, as a zecher l'tzias Mitzrayim. But Chag HaOsif is for the simcha that you have now. And that is the idea, as the Rashbam explains, not to say koichi v'otzem yodi, but I am going to bring it up to Yerushalayim. So what did he say? So Nehemiah said, "Vasheyashmiu ve'aviru kol b'chol horim u'v'Yerushalayim leimor tzuu hor v'oviu al zayis v'al et shemen v'al hadas v'al et morim v'al et ovois lasu sukkos kakosu." And so it's very interesting that the lulav. What is the lulav? The lulav is the you bring from the everything from where you come up to Yerushalayim with the lulav. So basically, it's coming with the agricultural products that you bring up to Yerushalayim. And so that's what you have to bring in Yerushalayim. The Sukkos is something which is not related to Yerushalayim. The Sukkos you do kol ha'ezrach, you do in everywhere in Eretz Yisrael. It's not related to Yerushalayim specifically. It's not like in Yerushalayim you have the mitzvah and also in outside. That's in Yerushalayim is maybe not really a mitzvah because you're busy, you are traveling, it's not your home, you are anyway outside, they were sleeping, I don't know where. So it's not the ikar. But what Nehemiah said, he says no, that you should bring Rovio ale zayis v'ale eitz, shemen v'ale hadas v'ale temor v'ale eitz always the same products that you have from the lulav, and with that you should do a sukkah. So in other words, Nehemiah, what he did is he connected those two together into one. So he took the lulav and he took the sukkah and he did one with that. Okay. So what he did is simply he connected those two as one, because he mentions with what will you build the sukkah? You will build the sukkah with ale zayis, ale eitz shemen, ale hadas, v'ale tmorim, v'ale eitz ovois. So you should take all these leaves, not only ale zayis, v'ale eitz that you bring, that is from the rest of the harvest, but also ale hadas, ale tmorim, ale eitz ovois, which is the lulav. And with this, you're going to build the sukkah. So in other words, you're going to combine both, and then we're going to build a sukkah with that. So in other words, the lulav suddenly, which is disconnected from sukkah, the lulav had nothing to do with sukkah, becomes part of the ingredients of the schach. So Nehemiah says, I want you to, with the lulav, I want you to build a schach for the sukkah. And so in Nehemiah, actually what he does is he combines both together, and he says, let's make one mitzvah, and that the lulav is also connected to the sukkah, and the sukkah is also connected to the lulav. It's not just two Yomim Tovim, the Chag Osif with the lulav and the sukkah, but it is actually we should use the same.
And how is connected the lulav to Chag Osif?
Oh, that's clear. Because Chag Osif, then you bring products that you bring the products from.
And that was the season.
That was probably it was the season. Yeah. Kind of. It's like bringing something that you bring. Yeah. Okay. We'll come when we'll speak about lulav.
He says Alizais. You mentioned before that there was no Yitzhak.
I asked that question to my son Yechiel yesterday. So he gave me an answer. That's
Alizais is not the product.
No, but it's the oslucho. It's the psoilis, but they didn't cut it yet. So either they cut it before I don't know.
From last year.
From last year, I thought also. But nice. It's a bit of a question, but it's a question that I have on Rav Binun. Why he mentions the Alizais. And I asked him yesterday what does he think about it, and I'll come back. I'll come back to probably we'll find a good answer. But very good. Why Take did he connect them both together? And now I want to explain what means sukkah to us. The Chazal explain us that and I already said it last year, I think, or 2 years ago when I spoke here, that the Chazal explained that sukkah is not allowed to be less than 10 tefachim wide, because like by the kapoiros, it says that the Rebbeinu and the Shechina comes down till the kapoiros, and Chazal understood that the kapoiros had to be 1 tefach on top of the 9 tefach of the Oroin, and that lower than that the Shechina cannot come down, and therefore a sukkah should not be lower than 10 tefachim. So the question is, what does one have to do with the other? The Shechina cannot come down till that tefachim. That's a problem of the Shechina. We're talking about building a sukkah. So what's the problem, or what's the connection between those two? So Rashi explains that why doesn't he come down lower than 10 tefachim? Because it's the new reshus. So this is reshus. This is mokom ptur, as we call it in Eruvin, and this is already part of the reshus rabim or the reshus yochid. So higher than 10 tefachim is a different reshus. So and since it is a different reshus, also the schach has to be in the same reshus. It cannot be in the lower, because then you have it's in a different reshus. Something like that. In this context, Rashi has to explain. But why doesn't the Gemara say anything about that? What is the connection, Yichlal? So Mekobolim explain that when this person sits in the sukkah, the Shechina comes down on the schach. Not only the Shechina, it's the Oir HaMakiv. The Oir HaMakiv is really the light of the Rebbeinu Shloilem that comes all the way from the Ein Sof and goes around the world. And it is from that Oir HaMakiv that comes down and is felt in the sukkah. As much that many Hasidim don't sleep in the sukkah, because they say, how can I sleep in the sukkah when there is such a strong Oir HaMakiv that should be able to be felt in the sukkah? We cannot sleep in there, and so they do not want to sleep in the sukkah. But the idea is that of the sukkah is that it is kind of a moment when the Shechina, with the highest level of the Shechina, even Oir HaMakiv, comes down to the sukkah and rests on the schach. And that is something which is quite amazing. Because if you want to understand a little bit how it works, is the following. Yom Kippur was a moment that we met with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Kohen Gadol went all the way into the bedroom of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He put up the Ktoiras, and because of that, the Rebbeinu Shalom could come down on top of the Kapoiras. And there was a connection, there was a meeting point between the Kohen Gadol and the Kutsh B'richu and the Shechina. That moment was only felt by the Kohen. Only the Kohen had this opportunity. So the Kohen Gadol, the Yom Kippur is only one man show. It's only the Kohen Gadol that did everything. When it comes to Sukkos, the idea of Sukkos is what I always called a democratization of the avodas hapnim, meaning that on Sukkos you see so many things in the Beis Hamikdash that happened is that the Israel took over. The Kohanim are on the side. Only the Israel did. Who did the Simchas Beis HaShoevo? Was the Israel, no Kohanim. It was all the Anshe Masim. They did. The Kohanim were put on the side. The dancing that went on the whole night was done by the Israel. Who did the akufas around the Mizbeach? Was the Israel. Not only that, the Israel even went, if they go around the Mizbeach, they come to a place where we normally are not allowed to enter. So it's a whole shaila, how could they come in? Because from the Mizbeach till the Heichol, you're not allowed to enter something like that. But on Sukkot, we said, no, we're allowed to. And the Israel, not the Kohanim, all the Yidden, the Israel, they went and they made the akufas around the Mizbeach. So basically the Sukkot it's not anymore the Kohanim, it's the Israel that take over. So Hashem said to Klal Israel, I want you to build Sukkot in order that what the Kohen Gadol did on Yom Kippur, you as a Israel can do every single day of Sukkot. Every day, in the day and in the night, you can be a Tumah, you can be a Baal Mum, you can be whatever it is, a Metzoira, that normally not allowed to enter anything. You can meet HaKadosh Baruch Hu every single day. Whenever you come into the Sukkah, you have this opportunity to meet with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not only the Kohen Gadol, but every Jew has the opportunity to meet his Creator in the Sukkah for 7 days. It's a democratization from what was used to be, what in Yom Kippur was only the Kohen Gadol, to suddenly an opening up for whole Klal Israel, that the avodas hapnim could have been done by everybody actually.
Just one point. If we speak about the second Beis Hamikdash, it's not a democratization. It's just in the second Beis Hamikdash there was no Aron HaKodesh.
Oh,
so the Kohen Gadol can do everything. So we.
Oh, very good. Very good. But on the other hand, on the other hand, because there was no Shechina, there was no Aron HaKodesh, and so but Sukkot they still had.
Yeah.
No, so that's why on the second Beis Hamikdash, Nehemiah told them that you come to Yerushalayim, you cannot go. There's no point to go. Beis Hamikdash is a mitzvah to go, but you will not meet the Odoin because he's not there. So now what you can do is go and sit in the sukkah. You'll meet him in the sukkah. That's why Nehemiah says to build also sukkah in the chotzer of the Beis Hamikdash, build a sukkah in Yerushalayim, because now this at least you will be able to do. Because in the Beis Hamikdash you can come as a mitzvah Yeroeh Pnei Hashem. You have no other choice. We don't have an Oroin, but the mitzvah is still there. But it's not the same meeting. But that's why I want to explain. Now I want to explain, thank you for pointing it out, that why did Nehemiah say to build the sukkahs in the Beis Hamikdash? Why did he say to build the sukkah in Yerushalayim? Is because Klal Yisrael, by coming up, they were disappointed. We wanted to meet the Creator, and he is not there. The Oron is not there. We're just making a mitzvah. We have to make the mitzvah. We have no choice. But when you sit in the sukkah, also in Yerushalayim, and that's why he said, no, don't worry. We'll make a sukkah in the Beis Hamikdash, and then you can come in the sukkah, and then you'll meet the Boine Shloilem, like the Kohen Gadol did nearly when it was on Yom Kippur.
But on Yom Kippur, during the second dance, the Kohen Gadol was supposed to be doing the same avoid.
Yeah, it was doing the same, but there was no Oren, no Kapoiras. So we don't know. It's not the same. It's not the same concept. He did the mitzvahs. Yeah. He performed the mitzvahs, the Tayag mitzvahs that he had to perform, but the result was not there, not the same as in the first Beis Hamikdash. And that's a disappointment of Klal Yisrael that come up, the new Beis Hamikdash, and we tell them, no, it's not there. Not this, for a few 170 years ago, it was still there, but now it's not anymore the same. And so therefore, Nehemiah said that you should build the sukkahs because it is through the sukkah that you can meet HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And so it's really a responsibility for us to understand that the sukkah has a special din. There is a special din which is not seen nowhere. The walls of the sukkah is a din of a korban. It's Min Torah today. How many korbanos do you have today? We don't have. Besides, if you have a bechor behema that by chance you forgot to make a shut of a goy, then you can have a korban. You cannot have korbanos today, right? Nobody would make a korban. There is 7 days. There is a korban Min Torah. It's not the rabbonon Min Torah. The walls of the sukkah has the din of a korban. You have to be careful. People don't realize, but it has a din mamish isur ano doraisa because it's like a korban. Yeah, it's because we learn from the pasuk. Chag Lashem, no, it's just I don't remember the limud, but it is from Lashem. If like the korban is Lashem, the walls are also Chag Sukkos Tasel Lashem. I think it's I don't remember from where we learned it. Tasel Lecho, no, Tasel Lecho. We learned it from a limud, and the halacha is like that the walls are also mamish doraisa to have a take profit mamish like you have a noah from a korban. There's no meile, but it's mamish and Isur D'Oraisa. So we see here the connection that the sukkah has with the Beis Hamikdash. There's many more halachas that we find in the sukkah that is similar to the halachas that are in terms of the Beis Hamikdash. I always thought that Rachmon Yokim Lono es Sukkahs Dovid Anofoles, that the sukkah refers to the Beis Hamikdash. But in the Poshet Pshat, the Sukkah refers to the Malchus, his kingdom, which is also called Sukkah. By the way, I always mention Sukkahs Dovid Anofoles and Beis Hamikdash. According to the Meforshim, it's not right. It refers to there are some who want to say that it refers to Beis Hamikdash, but normally no. So that's one of the rayos that I brought, which I retract myself a little bit. But that's the understanding of when we're going to a Sukkah is mamish. We're going as if, and this is what so I'll just go historically. Originally, it's a Chag HaOsif. It is agricultural Yom Tov. Moshe Rabbeinu, he connects, and then there is a Chag HaOsif, agriculture, and then there's a Chag HaSukkos, a religious Yom Tov, which fall on the same dates. And the Lulav belongs to the Chag HaOsif, but in Mekubolim say that you should take and make the Lulav in the Sukkah, but normally there's no halachic basis for that. To make the broch in the sukkah is not really an halachic basis. It's only mekubal, arizal, but it's because those are not related to each other. These are two separate things. It is Moshe Rabbeinu, he connects it because he says that the sukkah is not the moment of joy, but it's also a moment of se recueillir and to actually see them become humble, in order not to forget that you were in difficult situation when you were in Mitzrayim and when you came out of Mitzrayim, the 40 years that you were not yet settled. So Sukkas Arai, that's the idea as the Rashbam explains. And then we have Nehemiah that actually connects those two together. He says to build the sukkah with the lulav and with the meaning of the lulav. So he actually made them one and the same. And what he did is that he did the Yom Tov, that Chag HaOsif, which is a Yom Tov that we go to Yerushalayim to meet with our Creator, and then what he did is he took them those together and he created one. And that is what the Chazal have done later with the Mekubolim, where they even explained that the Sukkah is the Beis Hamikdash. So when the Klal Yisrael stayed, he explains that the Klal Yisrael stayed when the ones that stayed in not being co-op to Yerushalayim, that they didn't go to, they had to sit in the Sukkah, is because those who went to Yerushalayim, they made Odon Hashem. But the ones that stayed, they met the Odon Hashem in the Sukkah. So they all had on Sukkahs, we all had our meeting that we have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
But if Nehemiah said that Sukkah needs to have the different names on the schar.
No, he connected them together.
Yeah,
Nehemiah connected them together.
So what is a sukkah? You have to put this kind of. But today we don't do it. Like
no. But there's a mandoma. There's a tanna.
It's like this.
Yeah.
And no one is going.
No, nobody. We do dos b'chol. No, we don't pass like Nehemiah. No.
So what?
I don't know. There is a tanna.
Palms on the
Palms, but that's one.
Yeah.
There is like many.
No, it's not. It's not. Nehemiah did not cover the din halacha what has to be done. But I think there's a Tana that holds that it has to be from the Abbas Haminim. I think Rabbi Yehuda, there's a ton who holds that the schach has to be from Avas Hamina.
It would be to, like in Israel.
Lulav now. So now that we went, let's come back to Lulav. There is something very interesting that I wanted to share with you. The Lulav, normally there is, which I don't know where the Makor, the Gemara, the Mishnah says that we have to do Nanuim. Nanuim means shockling. That's all. You have to shockle. But we do more than that. What we do is we go shockle, come back, shockle. I don't know, everybody has his minogim. I leave it to everybody how to do it. And then we do it the 6 directions. Where does this come from? And that's also very interesting. There is a Gemara. The Gemara says that on Pesach we bring oimer, which is barley. On Shter Lechem we bring on Shavuos we bring Shter Lechem, which is wheat. And then the Gemara says both of them we have to do tenufo. So we have to. The Torah says that the coin has to go and he has to like this and like this and like that. Right. So this is the tenufo that he has to do. And then the Gemara says, and if so, on Lulav also. So the Gemara says, I think it's Rova says that if also Shter Lechem and Oimer, then also Lulav is also requires a tenufo. So what is a tenufo? We go like that, and then we go like this. That is up and down and forward and coming back. So basically, and what we do is we do combination. So we combine. We do the tenufo, and we do it nanuim. So we combine. We do a tenufo and then a nanuim together. We could have done it maybe separately. So a person could have done like that and then do like this. Yeah, theoretically, I don't know. We combine. I'm not. I leave it to Alocha. This is how the minig is in Kol Klal Yisrael to combine them in that way.
No, I think most people actually do the tenufo, but not especially
the chocolate nanuim. Okay, because then they assume that the nanuim is the bringing. It's already part of it. Okay, fine. I don't know. Because normally, because by doing it like that, you're already doing kind of nanuim. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know. I brought. They don't. Okay.
Very mechanic.
Okay, I've never.
Don't pay too much because you need to hear
a little bit. It's a shaker. You know, if you buy Lulav, you ask him if you want a shaker or not. So what is interesting from that Gemara, the Gemara itself that he learned that there is tenufo, he learns from Oimer and Shter Lechem. In other words, the Gemara saw in the Lulav a korban that is similar to what is missing in Sukkot, that we don't bring any vegetable, we don't bring anything. And so the Amoire saw in that the Lulav is what the Klal Yisrael brought, the Oimer and the Shter Lechem. So he saw the connection between those two. So he said, what do we bring on Sukkah? It says Ulakachtem. It's like what Rav Bin Nun explains, that the Lulav is, we bring from where we're coming from, we bring our korban. But the korban, we don't have to bring, we bring it in the Beis HaMikdash. When we bring the Beis HaMikdash, we shockle ourselves, the Yisrael. We're not the Kohen, again, the same concept. We take over from the Kohen, while the Oimer and the Shter Lechem, the Tnufa has to be done by the Kohen. It is all the Yisrael that bring the Lulav that can do the Tnufa. So it's not a Kohen. It's again a democratization. It's a putsch that we do where we receive that suddenly Hashem says, was Kohen, and now I want you to participate in the Avodas Apnim. I want you all to do the Tnufa with the Lulav in the Beis HaMikdash. And the Chazal learned that it's not only in the Beis HaMikdash, also B'Gvulin also. So basically the idea of the Lulav seems to be that it is mamish like a korban that we bring, but that we don't have to bring the Beis HaMikdash. We can bring it in Antwerp, and not. It doesn't have to be a Kohen. It can be a Israel, and it doesn't have to be Israel that is a Tomim. It can be a Balmom. It can be a Tomim. It can be whatever it is. All the psulim that is normally for a Kohen is not relevant in this case. And Sukkos we can bring our korban, which is the Lulav. We can do the Tnufa as if we were bringing it in the Beis HaMikdash. So you see again here the concept of the Lulav. Now, I mentioned like this and like that, yeah. But we I don't know about you, probably you go like this and then like that. I don't know exactly. We do like that. Yeah, you're like me. The 6 direction, but there are two different directions.
Yeah.
And this I wanted to explain you a little bit where this comes from. There's a Sefer Yetzirah. Sefer Yetzirah is the book that is from the creation, as the name says it. It's a very difficult to understand book. We still don't know exactly the meaning of the book on itself. I already spoke a few times on the book, explained you what it's all about. There is a name of Hashem that we don't mention at all. And this name is, actually, it's a name of a company, Yahoo. Yahoo. It's a name of Hashem that we don't, all the names of Hashem, normally there is at the end of a name, like you have Yisrael, Kael is the name of Hashem, therefore you have Yisrael, Gabriel, Michael, yeah? And then you have the name Ko, Yud K, and that is the name Yermi, I don't know names with no, Gedalia. You have all names that were added, suffixes, what? You know, oh. And then you have Yahoo. And that name Yahoo is clearly also a name from Hashem, because we say Yeshayahu, you have Yirmiyahu, Eliyahu. So you have a lot of names where Yahoo. But there is never, I don't know why, this I still don't know why, this name of Hashem, Yaku, if you want, but we don't do that because it's not mentioned in no of the Tehillim or anywhere that it says, Godel Yahu, Mulol Moed. We don't do that. The name Yahu somehow did not transperse into our liturgy, and in nowhere do we mention it, but it's a name of Hashem, and it's also not of the names that is mentioned as Hashem that you're not allowed to erase. It's not even mentioned as a kinui somehow, but it's clearly a name because we see it in the suffix of the names and Yahoo. So what is Yahoo? So Yahoo, the letters Yud Kei Vav, and in the Sefer Yetzirah, he explains that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he created space, so there were 6 different sides, and all the sides, as I explained you, why are they not crushed by the forces of the oil Ein Sof? Is therefore what he did is he sealed it with the letters Yud Kei Vav, and each side has a different combination of the letters Yud Kei Vav. So he says Chosam Rum Upono Lemalo v'Chosmoi beYud Kei Vav, as if he did it beYud Kei Vav. Chosam Tochas Upono Lemato v'Chosmoi beHei Yud Vav. So he did it with the combination Hey and then Yud and then Vav. Then Mizroch Upono and then Vav Yud Kei and then Vav Hey Yud, and then he did all the 6 sides. There's a permutation of 3 letters, has a permutation of 3 times 2 times 1. I forgot how you call it. N. Comment c'était? Factorial? N factorial. What? Yeah, exactly. Ah ouais? Peut-être Ah ouais. Et probablement que ça c'est Arizal. C'est souvent chez des Sfards, c'est souvent Arizal. C'est pas comme c'était imprimé ici. Ouais. Doron, c'est toi, et lui dit c'est le malo. Le malo. Yeah. Yeah. Je savais pas que c'est. Okay. And so what we do is when we take the lulav, when we do the tnufa, we do it to the 6 different directions, and each direction has the name Yud Kei Vav, and one of the combination of name Yud Kei Vav, as probably the idea behind that is that we are reinforcing, sending away the bad ruchos, so to be able to strengthen the agricultural year, it should not be kind of disturbed, and to all the 6 directions should be strong, and that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give Shefa on the world, and it should not be disturbed. Now, what is interesting is people, so in other words, what are the Yud Kei Vav? Are the 3 minim. So you have the Lulav and the Hadassim and the Arobas. So these are the three. And so theoretically, what you have to do is with those three, you have to go like this, like this, like this, like this, yeah, and down. But we don't the esrog, which is the letter hey, the esrog, which is the letter hey, has to be together. And this brings already the Shulchan Aruch. So the Shulchan Aruch is the only Shulchan Aruch that I know which is based on a dream. So the Shulchan Aruch brings down that one should put together the hey, should put together the esrog, because the Reknati, I think it was, the Reknati, he dreamt of his host. He was sleeping by somebody that the host disconnected the name of Hashem, that the hey was disconnected from the Yud Kei Vav, and he did not understand why would he dream of that. So it was Chol HaMoed Sukkos, and he saw him shackling the Lulav, and he saw that he shackled only with the esrog was not connected to the Lulav. He was separated. He went like that probably. And the Shulchan Aruch says that no, it's very important to keep it together. The idea is when you are shackling Lulav is to bring the esrog together in order to bring back the hay which represents the world here. That's why Teshuvo is Toshuv hay. There's a lot in the Kabbalah that the return of the hay, because the hay is the world that we are here, the Olam Asiyah, represented by the Olam Asiyah, and so therefore the Teshuvo, when we finished Yom Kippur, we are celebrating the Kapora that we made Shuva, and so this is a Toshuv Hey. So we bring together the esrog that is reunited with the Yud Kei Vav. So the Yud Kei Vav, which represents also the higher forces, and the Hey, which represents this world, which is the lowest of the spheres of Malchus. I'm not going to go into that. Is the idea is that to bring them together. In halachic is very important because people don't realize we are holding the esrog sometimes separated. Is always to try to keep the whole time the esrog together with the lulav. It's very important is to keep the names together, and also not with two different hands, but try not with one hand, as a lot of people do. Okay, when you want to move the talus, why not? But as much as you can to hold it with two different hands and then bring them together. The 10 fingers represent the 10 spheres that you bring together with the Yud Kei Vav and then the Hey, which then becomes one. Because everything that we do according to the Kabbalah, according to the Zohar, every mitzvah that we do is to combine the two names. As it says, the Shem Yichud Kutshu Brichu Shechinte, and then it says also B'Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei. It says there also in the always to bring the Yud Kei and the Vav Kei. By Lulav is to bring the Yud Kei Vav together with the Hey, to bring them together. And that's a very very interesting concept that I wanted to mention based on the Sefer Yetzirah. And it is indeed the print, according to the print of the Sefer Yetzirah, different Gersuas, is the Arizal does it differently, and we do it differently as well. Those who are the Minig Ashkenaz are doing differently according to the prints, different Gersuas that there is in the Sefer Yetzirah. So it's based on the Sefer Yetzirah that in the way that Hashem has created the world. So basically, very quickly, just a summary.
Who's the Panic with the Arizal in that order?
The Vilna Gaon. The Vilna Gaon has a different order, and we are doing according. Sorry?
It was not probably the first.
No, but I also heard that there is also we don't do like this, someone not to do like a cross. There's also something against. No, seriously, it's not a joke. It's that we don't do it as a cross. The idea is not to do it up and then like they go and they make the sign.
They do up and down.
What? Sorry.
Most cheaters agree that you do up and down.
Yeah, but not up and down and then. Something like that. We try not to do a cross. Anyway, it's not ma'akev. I just wanted to mention. So the sukkah is really what we saw, how it evolved in time, and how the Mekobolim and the Gemara is for the sukkah is mamash. It's an alternative for the Aliyas HaRegel, that you can meet HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like the Kohen Gadol met him inside. You can meet also with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Oyer HaMakev. It's a responsibility that you have to know is whenever you can, you eat something in the sukkah, it's mamash. It's not just the mitzvah that you make, but you can today, as we are speaking, today, I mean, tomorrow night, you can be Mekayim and be a meeting HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is quite similar. I don't know how similar it was with between the Kohen Gadol in the Lefnai V'Lefnim, and that's why Nehemiah said to do the Sukkah in the Beis Hamikdash in order to compensate for the lack of the Shechina that was in the Lefnai V'Lefnim. But here with the Sukkah, at least we can do it. And the second point that I wanted to do is also the Lulav. The Lulav, this shokulan is not just it's a tenufo that we do, not just a mitzvah that people sometimes do quickly. No, you are like a Kohen. You have to stand like a Kohen, and you are making a tenufo, like the Gemara said, like the Kohen did the tenufo for the Omer and the Shtei Lechem on Pesach and on Shavuos. On Sukkos, we do the tenufo, not the Kohen, but we can do it not in Yerushalayim and Beis Hamikdash, but even in Antwerp. Metz Hashem hopefully will be in Eretz Yisrael, but I don't know, it's going to be tough if Mashiach will come. We never know. Sorry? There are no flies. You checked already. And we can't finish showing. But we can do it here. We can bring a korban as mamish. There's a lot of dinim of the lulav that is related to the Beis Mikdash, to the korbanos. Also in the Gemaros, I'm not going to go in lulav hagozel. There's a lot of dinim that is mamish showing you that it has to do with that. And then the nufa is the 6 directions is based on the Yud Kei Vov, and therefore it's important that the Hey, which is the symbol of the tshuva of that we bring them together. The whole idea is of the Esrek, we bring them together with the Yud Kei Vov in order to show that we have overwon, that we made tshuva, that now Hashem forgave us, and therefore we're connecting them together. And Chas v'sholom not to separate them, especially not when you do the Nanuim. May we be take zoiche to be Mekayim, the mitzvahs of Sukkah, Ketikuno, and should bring us Shefa of Simcha, as V'somachtu b'chagecho is mentioned a lot of time in Sukkah. Should we take be zoiche, and we should be able to go up maybe Chol HaMoed and to the Beis Hamikdash and see how the Kohanim are doing the korbanos, and we should do the Simchas Beis HaShoevo all together. And it should bring us good simchas and nachas and gezind and parnus and all the things that we are wanting. Don't forget the end of the year is actually, as I explained to you, according to the Torah, is now, and Shmini Atzeres is going to be the first day of the year. It's going to be the Rosh Hashanah, but this is maybe a shir on Chol HaMoed to explain the kedusha of Shana Rabbah. It's something which is very interesting how to see Hoshana Rabbah and Shmini Atzeres and Simchas Torah. Metz Hashem, I'll speak on Eilat Chag also. So I try also to mention that we are still in the year. We can still spoil, we can still change only for the good, and we should be zoche to the good.
Very good, man.